Well, I am back from New York yesterday on my way to the barn. Dropped Ollie and Ava off. Ollie he's in some academic challenge club. Good for him. He's always, if you've ever met Ollie or talked to him for a couple of minutes, you know that he's a fountain of that useless information, that's trivia stuff. So he enjoys his club, and I want to actually go back later on and see if I can catch a little bit of him in the club. That'd be cool. So on my way over to the track, 29 minutes to the track from, what did I say we were? Barberton. Yesterday was very, very important for the stable and for all of us because, as you know, we don't do a lot of work in New York, and the biggest reason being the licensing woes that are there. And I think, was I looking forward to it? I knew it was important to go, but the idea of waking up at 3 o'clock in the morning and catching a 5 a.m. flight, it was 3:15 I woke up, and catching a 5 a.m. flight to Albany, it was very kind. If you're watching, they had moved me up in the order of testimony from 5 to 2 so I could catch my flight back home. The flights were 2:30 p.m. or 8 o'clock at night, which would have got me home around midnight. Instead, I got home at 7. So I was very happy that they did that, and I was happy that it gave me an opportunity to speak about what I saw as the issues, not just in New York, but talk in a more broader form. Now, we all know that the biggest reason we don't do a ton of business in New York right now is because of licensing, right? The expense of it, the bureaucracy around it, the hoops you have to jump through. It's just, for the most part, the easiest and bluntest way to put it is just it's unnecessary. It is unnecessary. And the two gentlemen that came on after I did, part of one of the panelists was Joe Feraldo, who's a lobbyist and lawyer in New York, and he spoke about the issue also, and had some very flattering words for the stable. And then Tom Grossman, who was one of I've talked about this before, but when I initially started the stable, there wasn't any money. There was just me trying to convince people and breeders. The first component of the stable were the breeders, because I didn't have a ton of money. I still do, but I didn't have a ton of money to buy any horses. So I was trying to convince them to say, listen, if you keep your horses because they don't sell for whatever reason, maybe you wanted more, maybe they were injured and couldn't go to the sale, maybe they were sick, but if you don't sell them, maybe give us an opportunity to do so and prove this plan. And I'm sure a lot of them scoffed at us and said, no, this seems silly, it'll never work, you're never going to get everyday people involved in horse racing, and what's going to happen is I'm going to give you this horse to train down, you're never going to be able to sell the shares of it, and it's going to be a problem come next June. And that was a fair concern. But as it turned out, it was squashed pretty quick, because we did sell the shares. We did get the horses into the stable and get new people involved, and that's been ongoing for a decade. But Blue Chip Farms was one of the first people I did not know. I very vividly remember I was getting out of the shower, and this is 10 or 11 years ago. I knew of Tom Grossman, but I didn't really know him. He knew of me, but didn't really know me. And I remember I was getting out of the shower, and Amy said, some Grossman's calling you on your phone. I said, pick it up. Went over and I grabbed the phone and sat there and talked to him for 45 minutes. If memory serves me, I don't believe I was clothed when I was doing it. And just seemed super receptive to what we were trying to do. There was still some trepidation as to if I could actually do this and pull it off. But he knew that I was passionate about it. I was committed to doing it, and I think he sent us 2 or 3 horses that year. Jeff Gorell, I believe. It was another nice thing that he did. He's a very, quite frankly, probably a little divisive in this industry. But to know him is to know that he just wants to see the industry be a better place, I think. And he also, and he didn't actually, he sold all his horses in his consignment and bought a couple of horses for us, with us, which I thought was admirable. He didn't have to do that. But those were some of the people, and many of you who may be watching this video were a part of that first wave also. I can think of at least 4 or 5 of you off the top of my head that were there on day one and are still here today. So that says a lot in itself also about what we did and how we did it. So Tom had some obviously very flattering words as it pertains to fractional ownership. I think both him and Joe said that the way I put it was simple. Licensing will help open the door. Fractional ownership will finish the job. And that's kind of how I portrayed it to New York, and appreciative of the kind words from the other two gentlemen thereafter. It's been a long time since I spoke in a political setting and form, but it was fun. I had fun. So definitely, it certainly wasn't inexpensive, but it was worth it. I think if we can get that door of New York pried open a little bit and start doing some work in New York, I think that everybody would be happy to do so. So that's kind of where I left it yesterday. I had a number of messages from a number of people all over North America, sending me a number of notes. None of them were bad, so that's good. Notes about yesterday and about going there. So happy to do it. I would happily do it anywhere. I can tell you that I've been asked to speak at just a banquet in Minnesota. Now, we've had horses in Minnesota. I know Marcia will be happy to hear that too. But I'll be speaking at the awards banquet in Minnesota in February, which I don't know my geography very well, but I think Minnesota in February is pretty cold. So we'll see. But again, anytime that I can get the message out about fractional ownership and about making it easy for the industry and people to get involved, I'm certainly going to jump at the chance. I've done it in the past obviously in the Meadowlands and in Ontario plenty, but Ohio, Illinois, and now I can add New York and Minnesota to the list after February. So very, very happy with the way things went, and it'll be all for nothing. I guess it's never all for nothing, but it would mean a lot if we could, if they could find a way to pry that door open a little bit, just so we could start getting people involved in New York. Because it isn't just about, as I said yesterday, I may not be from your state, but I feel like I am, because horse racing is horse racing across the board. And I don't see, when I was in Ontario, I didn't focus mainly on Ontario racing. I focused on horse racing. And I think that's the biggest message of all, is that I view horse racing as one big tent, not just this jurisdiction and this jurisdiction and this jurisdiction. It's everybody, because if one state fails, it makes it easier for the next one too also. And the other side of that coin is if one state does well, it's a better opportunity for all the other states and jurisdictions also. So that's where I left it in New York yesterday. I was happy to go, happy I went, and I thought for the most part I got the message out as good as I could. Now for yesterday's racing, I wish it had went as well as the speaking did. 3-point blue chip. Tim said he's still in that left hind. It's bothering him. I think what we're going to do is bring him over. They don't have an aqua treadmill in Pennsylvania, so I think we're going to bring him over here, work on the treadmill, maybe skip next week with him, see if we can get that leg cleaned up. Maybe we have to take her with the shoeing again just a little bit. But he looked like he was shod pretty good when I saw him last. I just don't know the best way to tinker with it more. I mean, here's a horse that really didn't wear boots for most of his life, and now has really mauled that left hind up and mangled it up a little bit. So it's going to take some work. So he'll miss next week, but he'll be right back at it the week after. There shouldn't be a problem there. Neptune broke a hobble yesterday. I missed the race because I was on an airplane, but I got off the airplane to a picture of a broken hobble, so that's never good. it's unfortunately one of those things that will happen. You will have equipment failures from time to time in racing, and we're just going to have to pitch that line of Neptune out. And then we went to Ontario. Lady Hess, I watched her coming to the last turn. I said, I think she's going to get there. Watched her. James moved her over, and she fizzled out. Looked a little bit like a horse that bled to me. Didn't take long for that to be verified. You know, for my partners out there that don't know how it works, or even for the partners of Lady Hess, you know, when you start stretching the horse out, when you're going miles in 55 or 54 in Charlottetown, to take nothing away from Charlottetown, but it's not Mohawk. And when you really stretch them, I've seen this before. We've had horses, and we've actually had Heston Blue Chips that have never had an issue with bleeding, you know, and then you race them 2, 3, 4 starts, and then one of those starts are a little bit flat, you scope them, and there it is, a little bit of blood. So you can dismiss it and assume that it won't happen often, or maybe ever again, or you can just go ahead and put the horse on Lasix, and that's generally the direction that we head in when it comes to Lasix. I don't want to race another start hoping and checking to see if she doesn't bleed. I know she bled last night. We all know that. We scoped her. Not bad, but enough. Clearly enough. You saw the performance. Fix it. The easiest way to do that is to simply put the horse on Lasix. So that's exactly what we are going to do. She can race not next week, but the week after on the Friday. She's allowed to race, and that's exactly when she will. Woodmere Flojo looked rough in the first turn, rough in the last turn, a little out of gear. I didn't get the report back. I just said, could you scope her also? I didn't get that report back yet. I believe the report from Tyler was she was a little bumpy in the first turn and the last turn. Well, okay, why? And that's actually a Dominic job. You're going to have to tell me why. You're going to have to tell me why that this horse... Oh, this is not my exit. It's the next one. Good thing I was paying attention. That's just going to have to be answered as to why she was bumpy, how we're going to fix it, what you're going to do from there. And that'll be a conversation for today also with him. Now, those were the horses that raced yesterday. I know that Jason was training some horses. We have a number of horses to train a little bit today. The only thing I did not want to see at all was Drebin get in with Winter Soldier. And I told the race secretary this in Southern Ohio, but I guess it must have got lost in the shuffle because they're in together. We have 3 horses in on Wednesday night also. So I think those 3 horses will... I'll stay here and drive the horse in Northfield, and we'll watch the 2 horses race in Southern Ohio. I have a wee bit of a plan. If Winter Soldier is going to be stuffed in the Open at Northfield every week, and the Open 2 is going to be a little tricky for him, which I don't know if it is or it isn't. For Post 8, it's most definitely going to be tricky. But if we're left with the feeling after the race, well, if we had drawn the 4-hole, I think we can probably beat them. Well, if that's the case, fine. If it looks he's a little outmatched, then we're going to race him in the place he belongs, which is the non-winners of 10. There's the non-winners of up to 12 in Yonkers for horse that gets around a half-mile track. Well, it may be a place that we could look at racing him possibly moving forward. That's something we can discuss in the future. With Drebin, these are the classes he's going to have to get used to. Now, it's a lot to go and ask him to race well from the outside or the trailing post, one or the other, I'm not sure, on Wednesday afternoon in Dayton. We'll see how the first start back looks for Drebin, and then we'll go from there with him. As I've said before, and I'll say it again, my belief is he will land back in Ontario, racing in the Ontario condition races. If we get him a couple of starts here, and one of those checks is going to drop off his card. So if he doesn't race well, or as well as we want on Wednesday with his first start back, he'll be one step closer to dropping some money off, dropping way down, and then once we get him racing a little bit better, it could be a start or 2 or 3. Then he'll make his way back over to Ontario. That's my belief and my thought process with respect to Drebin. Anyway, today I am going to be heading down the road. I'm going to Dayton, Ohio. I'm going to race Time Is On My Side at Trosa tonight. Both are in a very good place. I was actually a little surprised that they picked, the morning line pick was Time Is On My Side over Surreal Ideal, who was relegated and handicapped at the 8-hole again. He won from post 9 last week. I just don't... he's a good horse, and if you're going to race him, if we race him 10 times, with open draws, I might beat him a couple of times. Tonight might be one of those times. I mean, it's not like he's a layover. I mean, we're knocking on the door all the time, but I haven't quite been able to work our way through there. And hopefully we can this evening and this afternoon in Southern Ohio. And then Trost is in a good spot again tonight. He should do well. We have Gorgeous Package back in town. If you're watching the Arrowhead Hanover saga, where we can't get the horse in to go yet, they haven't cleared him to race in Dover. I told them, could you get Gorgeous Package cleared? And when we get her cleared and she's cleared to race, then we'll send her down there, not before. I'm not going through the wait 3 weeks to race and see what happens. And it's frustrating. I know Greg had sent me a message, and a number of my partners are asking, where is Arrowhead Hanover sitting at Mr. Munson's farm, because they haven't cleared him to race in Dover. Dover is a very protective place. They protect the trainers, they protect their horses, and they don't want people coming in and stealing their money. So sometimes what they'll do is just make you wait a couple of weeks to get in. I would have thought that he'd be in to go by now, but I can assure you, if he doesn't get in next week, then they will win, and I'll just move the horse. So we'll see what happens with respect to Arrowhead, but it is what it is currently. And then on Monday, very interested to see to drive Salzburg in. I told you he trained very well the other day, so I'm interested to see how that goes. Woodmere Betcha is in to go on Monday also. Rock Shining Star, this horse should not be in the open. The nominators 8 and 10 didn't fill. You go the other way, you don't go up. And I don't want the rail in the open. I don't care about the handicap. He shouldn't be in the open this week, but that's where he ended up, and he won't be there next week. I can tell you that right now, because if they ask for the open, he'll just be going to the Meadows or somewhere else. And this is exactly why I've talked about these types of horses. We will not be racing these horses all winter long. When we buy an open pacer or an Almers and 1 up to 7 pacer, Rock Shining Star, and the one that I'm about to talk about next, Greatest Ending, they won't be sticking around. And that's not because I don't like them. I like driving them. They're nice horses. They try. Greatest Ending has always struggled with consistency and tying up and sore feet. But when he's good, he's good. But I'm not racing him up now. I'm not racing my Nominers 8 horse from the rail in the open, because that's where they plan to use him. Somebody else can. We're not. And that's the stance I'm going to continue down. Again, every so often I get somebody messaging me and saying, listen, there's good money to be made in racing, and that you call it that ladder racing. There's still good money to be made there, and that may be. There's good money made in monoclasses. I can guarantee you what there is 20 to 30% of wasted starts a year racing in that manner, and I'm not wasting any starts, right? We draw the outside enough, or maybe you get a bad trip, or maybe the horse was a little sick. We have enough races that end up being wasted. We don't have to waste them going in. And that's my feeling on it. It's not going to change. So that's where we're at right now. Happy with the way the week has gone in general. A little disappointed yesterday. We had a broken hobble with a horse that had a pretty good chance. A horse that bled that had a pretty good chance. 3 Point, again, just he's there. I'm not going to tell you he's knocking on the door. I did feel that way maybe a month ago. He's in the vicinity of the door, but hopefully we can help him out, clean that lag up a little bit, and I'd love to be able to get him shot in a manner that maybe helps that. We'll see. We'll see if we can get that done over the next week or so. But for now, 3 Point Blue Chip is going to come back to Northfield just for a week, because we really are going to be aggressive with the treatment of cleaning that up and treating it if it is in fact a bruise. Treating that and making sure that the horse is as close to 100% as he is next time he goes behind the gate. And then Woodmere Flojo, I haven't got the final report as far as scoping on her. I did hear from Kirby, who said that Tyler said she was bumpy in both turns. This is stuff we got to work on, and we'll get it worked on. Tonight racing, Sunday racing. I'm back at it Monday. Tuesday I'm not. The wrist feels pretty good. It felt good yesterday. I think the flying bothered it, because it was pretty sore when I get up today, and I didn't do anything with it yesterday, so I don't know. Anyway, I'll muscle through it today. It'll be just fine. I hope you guys are having a great day. It looks like it was raining here last night, but it's sunny here right now. 43 degrees. I have about 4 or 5 horses to train, a couple on the race bike, and then I will give you guys an update maybe on the way. Maybe I'll talk Amy into coming to date with me again. Who knows? Anyway, take care, everybody. Have a great weekend. I'll talk to you all very soon.